So briefly, the police department and the Glendale Fire Department, specifically two within our local community, they have a mentorship program that's part of the Boy Scouts of America. It's the Explorer program. And other agencies in our neighborhoods, Burbank, Pasadena, they all have these where kids from the ages of 14 to 18, they join, they go through a mini academy, and they're mentored by police officers and other police professional staff throughout their times, throughout their high school years, you know, to the point where they decide which route they want to go when they attend college. I stuck it through, but there were other explorers that, you know, went into the military or opened their own businesses, but that's one opportunity that's local at this level where, you know, with the assistance of volunteers, donations, and even part of the city budget, there's funds dedicated for that mentorship program. The City of Glendale also had the STAR program. They have the school resource officers that are on campus, just like Lieutenant Fox was on campus at the junior high when I met him, that reach out and touch somebody that make a difference in their lives.
Hi, my name is Christina Yamazarian, and I'm a scout in ARA. As an Armenian teenager, not having a good role model to look up to makes keeping our identities a harder challenge. And when people like the Kardashians show up on TV, it makes it even harder. What should we do? Because other cultures also judge us off of that stereotypical reality show.
So, how do you deal with the Kardashians? Is the question. I thought everyone was happy. Like every time, I thought every time Lamar Odom, the Lakers play, someone's like Hayadagan, you know, like he's our groom. I don't get the Kardashians personally. I don't understand the fascination with them, but I don't know, I have mixed feelings. You heard my comments earlier about Italian Americans and Jersey Shore, and do you watch Jersey Shore? Do you guys know what that is? Snooki and Pauly D and the crew. You know, I mean, does that stop Italian youth from, like, you know, aspiring for their dreams? It's a little harder for us because we're such a small group, right? Like I said, you know, I grew up in a place where there were no Armenians. Then you come to Glendale and you say you're Armenian and people say, oh, I love zanku chicken, or I know how to say lagod, or mama, whatever. It's somehow or another people always acquire the terrible things in any language to say the curse word. So it's a different transition, yet in spite of that, outside of Glendale or anywhere else in the country, people really have no idea of what Armenian is, so their point of reference becomes the Kardashians, or it becomes some of the criminals on TV shows like The Shield, or unfortunately the actual criminals who end up making headlines. That makes it our responsibility, or your responsibility as a scout, to work twice as hard to undo the damage that the media can do by portraying people in a certain way. And one of the first ways you can combat that is by you yourself not having prejudices towards other groups. To live your life in such a way, you know, there's a saying by Mahatma Gandhi, it's been overused, but it says, be that change in the world that you wish to see. Which means that if you don't want people to judge you based on the Kardashians, don't judge other people based on the Sopranos or based on a certain portrayal of a particular group in the media. And that's very hard to do. It's very hard to do. But let me tell you, there are excellent role models out there for Armenians that no one ever talks about. I'll give you an example of one. Charles Gary. He was born Garabedian in Fresno. He was one of the top, with all due respect, Gary, top defense attorneys in the entire state of California. He was best known for being the the defense attorney for a group called the Black Panthers. He defended Bobby Seale and Huey Newton, who formed the Black Panther Party in Oakland. This was a quasi-militant political party that advocated self-defense for African Americans who at that time were being harassed in the Bay Area by predominantly white police force. In fact, maybe possibly an exclusively white police force. He also defended the Chicago 7, who were the students who rioted or incited the protests of the Democratic Convention during the 60s. This is all important things in our country's history. When they asked Charles Gary, and by the way, the Black Panthers got a lot of flack from the black community as to why they were hiring a white lawyer. And the answer they gave was that Charles Gary's not white. He's Armenian, number one. Number two, Charles Gary said the reason I defended them is because I grew up knowing what it was like being black. We were the N-words of the San Joaquin Valley. You know, I was picked on my entire life growing up with a hard-to-pronounce last name. I got into fights at school every day for who I was in Fresno. But the difference was, he said, my skin was white. I could grow up, I was Christian, I could change my name, and I could acculturate and assimilate into American society. But if you're black, you wore your identity on your skin every day. So I know how these boys feel, and this is why I'll defend them till the day I die. But who talks about Charles Gary, right? It's more fun to talk about Kim, Chloe, and Courtney or whatever. That's just the era we live in. People are more, Chloe, people are more worried about, you know, whether Britney Spears remembered to wear her bardik before she went to a nightclub than they are about what's going on in Darfur or what's going on with, you know, our Ngerapi Homenetmen in Liberty Square and Republic Square in Honesty. You know, that's just the society we live in. It's up to you to rise above that and elevate others with you. Did I say that right? The Scout motto, right? Parsatsuriya, Parsatsuriya. That's what you gotta do.
I would just quickly add that the mentors are all around. I mean, you look in this room, I know 5 or 6 successful businesswomen in this room, successful individuals in the field of medicine, law. Up here, obviously, you have a number of gifted people, and these people want to help you. I mean, we're family, and we're here to help you, whether it's Artie in public affairs, or someone else who's a marketing expert, someone else who's an expert in the field of medicine. Wherever you want to go, there are going to be family members, whether it's the Homenetmen family, the Adonat family, which is a great family, right? Not a good family, it's a great family. And this family has people who want you to succeed. They want you to succeed. And I say reach out to these people, and I think you will be remarkably well received.
Hello, my name is Sophie. I'm with Yerevan Magazine today, but this kind of took me to another place. My question is, just to make it short, my parents are from Lebanon. I was born and raised in Germany, and I moved here when I was 13. I'm 22 now. The first question they asked me in elementary school was, what kind of Armenian are you? And it took me back, and I remember going home that day, and I asked my mom, like, Mom, what kind of Armenian am I? And she's like, Beirutahai, you know, and I'll never forget that. And I'm 22, so I do consider myself to be a youth, but there's people in this room who are a lot younger than me. And I guess my question is, how do we break the prejudice between each other? I feel this is something like, I'm not one thing. I'm German, I'm Lebanese, I'm Armenian, I'm all types of stuff. So how do we break the prejudice between the youth that goes on every single day in high school, where in high school I was embarrassed to say that I'm Beirutahai because I would be considered a gorgor. So how do we break this prejudice between the youth and try to, yeah.
First of all, you marry a non-Beirutahai, which is what I did. I married the Barskai, and then you befriend every Hayastansi, which is what I did. Didn't I? I did. People ask me oftentimes what kind of Armenian I am. Armenians ask me that. The reason they ask me that because most people can't figure it out. Some do because they know me. because my Armenian is in fact a Yerakuin Armenian. I do speak Arab with a higher end, I do speak Arab with a higher end, and I even speak the Khob Khonase Kheli Mamnoon Barska. Right? So my Armenian is a combination of the influences that I've allowed and the sharing that I have sought from various members of the Armenian community. I have not discriminated, in my opinion, nor do I care to. I don't think of it as my friend Sako is originally from this part of the world, or my employee is from that part of the world. I'm only made aware of it when someone brings it up and asks, as they do. I think at the end of the day, the sooner we get over that, the better off we're going to be. And the best way to do that is to go and befriend and find out more about the Armenian whose background is from another part of the world than yours, because there's plenty more to learn from them, and there's plenty more for them to learn from you. I don't know, my first trip after 30 years outside of Beirut, and I left Beirut in 1978, was to Armenia. And then I went to Beirut after that, and you know, both had their own special places in my heart, because one place I grew up and one place my grandparents talked about, you know, setting foot in and never did, and died dreaming. So I fulfilled that dream for them and for me. We're all Armenians. I don't think there's such a thing as Arab Mada Italian versus Arab Mada Italian. You know, maybe there's something about Sicilians, but I don't think there's something as Arab Mada French versus Arab Mada French. But it's a typical Armenian, you know, I think defecting character that the younger generation, the 20-somethings, can conquer once and for all, and we'll be done with it.
Hello, I just want to say, sorry, it's not because I have to have the last word, I promise. You know, we have to stop thinking of ourselves as being so unique. I remember when I was first elected, when I ran for office, first of all, I reached out to every single community in Glendale. I think I was the first candidate to ever send out a mailer in Korean to Korean households, in Tagalog to Filipino households. In Spanish, I'm sure, I know I wasn't the first, but I sent out even a mailer to Spanish-speaking households in Spanish introducing myself, who Ardashis Kazakhstan was and what my goals were as city clerk. But I remember I was invited to a Filipino organization's beauty contest one year. Councilmember Eric Garcetti from Los Angeles, who has part of Filipino town, or historic Filipino town in his district, could not make it. And I guess they went down the entire list of elected officials that could make it, and finally they got to the city clerk, who was free that night, and I went. I was supposed to sit in as a judge or presenter of awards at this contest. And I remember the people sitting at the table I was with, it was a specific island compatriotic society. To give you an example, it would be like the Rashtetsis or the Urfatsis or whatever, you know, the folks from Isfahan. So it was that particular Filipino group. The person sitting next to me said, you know, the people from that island, the girls, not very attractive. The Philippines, if you don't know anything about them, is an island nation. They have something in excess of 700 islands. Tagalog is not their language. They speak multiple dialects. It's just the one dialect they were all eventually able to agree on. Yet, when we think of Filipino, or when I even say Filipino, does that thought ever even occur to you? Keep in mind that when we look at ourselves, we see those different shades. A lot of it may add richness. You know, for instance, we know the people with the reputation for being excellent cooks. We know which people from which towns from historic Armenia have a reputation for being goodsy or cheap, right? You know, we know it somehow or another adds like flavor. As a Gesarat, yeah, I know that one, by the way. But other people, including our friends here in uniform, don't necessarily, they see us all as Armenian. You know, they see us as part of a group. They see us as, you know, citizens or residents of Glendale. So it all depends on your perspective. And the other thing I want to add is that we have a tendency as human beings to always compartmentalize.